It is officially 2024. 2023 is at an end, which means that we get to look back at the year 2023 and talk about every single film that came out this year. In this video, I'm going to rank every single movie that I've seen in the year 2023. I've seen a total of 58 movies, which is a lot. And I still missed out on a lot of stuff. I still haven't seen Zone of Interest or All of Us Strangers. There's a lot of movies that I did miss, but we're going to go ahead and rank the ones that I have seen. Alright, so this is how I have my ranking broken down. At the top, I have Best of the Year. Only one film will go in that section. Loved it, good film, meh, bad film, horrible, and then Worst of the Year. Just like Best of the Year, only one film will go in that section. Let's go ahead and get started. Up first, we have 65. This is the movie starring Adam Driver, where he plays a spaceman who fights dinosaurs. That premise sounds awesome. The movie itself was not. It was pretty boring. I almost fell asleep at the third act. I wish this movie was more fun and entertaining. Definitely one of the most disappointing of the year. A Haunting in Venice. I really enjoyed this. Kenneth Branagh's latest film about Hercule Poirot. I can't pronounce that name, so forgive me. But this was a lot of fun. I like this more than his last two Hercule Poirot movies. I liked how this had a horror atmosphere to it, and I thought it was really fun, really good. Okay, first movie I'm going to go ahead and put and loved it is Anatomy of a Fall. This is such a fantastic courtroom drama. It's a courtroom drama about the death of a husband, but the actual story of the film, the meat of the film, is about dissecting a marriage at its end. And I thought it was a really well acted and well written movie. I really loved that one. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. When I was watching this movie, I was the only guy in the theater. Made for a little bit of an uncomfortable viewing experience, considering this movie's about a young woman going through puberty. But I thought this was a really good film, really well acted, and I love the themes it tackled of puberty and also the main character questioning her religion. I thought that was just a really good film. I really enjoyed it. Up next, we have Barbie, the highest grossing movie of 2023. Came out the same weekend as Oppenheimer, made for a big event at the theaters. You saw people dressed up as Barbie, all dressed up in pink, and I thought this was one of the best films of the year. I really loved Barbie. I loved the production design. I loved the performances by Margot Robbie and Ken. I thought this movie was hilarious. I loved its ideas about what Barbie represents in the world, whether she represents feminism or anti-feminism. I thought all that was really great stuff. This was such a fantastic movie. Up next, we have Ari Aster's Beau is Afraid. I love Ari Aster. I love Midsommar and Hereditary. I think they're some of the best horror movies to come out in the past decade. Beau is Afraid did nothing for me. I thought Joaquin Phoenix gave a fantastic performance. I love the direction and the set designs. This just wasn't the type of movie for me. I wouldn't really recommend it to most. Okay, Blue Beetle. This was a terrible year for DC films. They all just bombed and bombed and bombed. Blue Beetle was one that I wish did better. Blue Beetle was so much fun. He was the only Latin American superhero that I was aware of when I was younger. So seeing him get a movie was really great. I thought the main character did really great as Jaime Reyes, the main actor. I loved all the supporting characters, and I just loved how much fun this movie was and how funny it was. The Boy and the Heron. This might be my biggest hot take on this video. Hayao Miyazaki's latest film might be his last movie. This movie kind of did nothing for me. I really wish I liked it more. I loved the animation. I loved the world building. I just found the story and the characters didn't do much for me. I didn't get much out of it. Cocaine Bear. This movie, you're going to get exactly what you asked for. It's right there in the title. It's about a bear that does a lot of cocaine and then goes on a killing spree. It's a ton of fun. There's some funny moments. I would recommend it. The Creator. Gareth Edwards' latest film since Rogue One. I really wanted to love this movie. I loved that it was an original concept. I loved all the production design. I loved how it was. The movie looked huge and it looked like it cost $200 million, but in actuality it only cost $80 million, which I thought was super impressive. But I gotta say the script and the characters just don't do anything for me. I gotta say this was a pretty bad movie. It's an original movie in the sense that it's not connected to a franchise, but a lot of its ideas are taken from things we've seen before, like Blade Runner. A little bit of Last of Us is in there. And the way it tackled its themes on war and the tragedy of war, it didn't do anything for me. It was very lackluster. Up next, we have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This almost made it as my favorite movie of the year. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I loved Into the Spider-Verse. I think it's a classic. And Across the Spider-Verse is just another classic. I love its themes on identity, on how Miles is exploring how his story's going to go and how he's trying to go against the grain of all the other Spider-Men. I just thought it was a really beautiful, well-made movie and beautifully animated. I love seeing all the other multiverses within this. This one's amazing. Definitely go check it out. Creed 3, Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut. This one was a ton of fun. I think Michael B. Jordan has a really great eye for directing. I like how I'm not a big anime fan, but I liked how he put in a lot of shonen anime inspirations in this, and it made for some really excellent scenes. The boxing scenes in this were brilliant. I hear Michael B. Jordan is going to direct the fourth Creed movie, and I'm very much looking forward to that and seeing how he directs it. Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Amongst Thieves. I wasn't looking forward to this very much. I'm a huge fan of Dungeons and Dragons. I love playing Dungeons and Dragons. But I thought a movie adaptation would be really stupid. In actuality, this movie was just a ton of fun. I'm going to go ahead and put that in good film. The characters were great. I found it really funny. The action scenes were really good. It's just a good time at the movies. This is some of the most fun I've had at the movies this year. Last Voyage of Demeter. This movie was boring. I wish I enjoyed it more. I was gonna skip it, but then I saw Stephen Hawking and Guillermo del Toro recommend it on Twitter, so I said, sure, I'll go watch it, and it was just as boring as the trailers let it on to be. I wish I liked this more. Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese's latest film. This movie is harrowing, it's depressing, it's 3.5 hours long, and I loved it. I think this is one of the best films of the year. This is one of Scorsese's best movies. I think Killers of the Flower Moon is another masterpiece by Scorsese, and it's something that everyone should watch. Elemental, this year's Pixar release. This movie had a really interesting story where it was at first seen as a bomb, but because of the good word of mouth, it ended up breaking even for Disney Pixar. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in good film. This was a really fun time at the movies, a really well animated, and of course that's what you expect from Pixar. But it was also just emotionally engaging. I love how it told the story of an immigrant family moving to a new land, having to adjust to a new environment, finding their home within this community. I thought it was just really beautiful. And then also seeing the different generations of this immigrant family adjust to the new surroundings was really great. This is such a fun movie. I highly recommend it. Evil Dead Rise. This movie was a ton of fun. It's not quite as memorable as the first three Evil Dead movies, but Evil Dead Rise was a fun time. If you have fun watching violent horror movies, this is the movie for you. And speaking of returning horror franchises, we have The Exorcist Believer. I hated this movie. I hated this movie so much. It was so dumb. I hated the fact that it just wasn't scary at all. You go into an Exorcist movie wanting to be scared, and nothing about this movie is remotely scary or interesting. It has cool ideas about how exorcisms are not all about the Catholic Church, and they're about unified community, and so you get people of different religions coming together to do an exorcism. I think that's a cool idea. I think it's executed very poorly. And then when you get to the final exorcism, where everyone is working together to fight the demons, it just wasn't scary. It was sloppily shot and edited, and it doesn't hold a candle to the original Exorcist film. This is a horrible movie, and if they make a trilogy out of this, I will be skipping that. Fast X. I can't say I'm a huge fan of the Fast and Furious franchise. I have my fun with them when they're in the theaters, but this just isn't a franchise that does anything for me. Fast X, the latest movie, I'm going to go ahead and put that in meh. This is the most boring Fast and Furious movie since Fast and Furious 4. This movie did nothing for me except for Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa was so great as the villain. He had so much fun, and I wish the rest of the movie had his energy. And another movie about cars, Ferrari. I'm going to go ahead and put that in meh also. I love Michael Mann. I love a lot of his movies. I love Adam Driver as an actor. This movie just didn't do anything for me. My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. Going to go ahead and put this in meh also. At its moments, it was funny. The story just didn't really do anything for me. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the only Marvel movie that I watched in theaters this year. I loved it. I mean, I wouldn't have watched it if I didn't think there was going to be something for me to love. But Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a great ending to this trilogy and to these characters that we've grown to love over the course of the past 10 years. I loved Rocket's journey of accepting who he is and dealing with his past trauma. I loved Peter's story of accepting that Gamora isn't who she used to be because of the whole timeline thing in Avengers Endgame. This was just a very emotionally engaging film. I love the action. I love the comedy. And I love the Guardians. I'm gonna miss seeing them appear in movies. The Holdovers, such a fun movie, so funny and so endearing. I love the characters. I love how this movie tackled loneliness and not living up to your potential. Really, really great film, and Paul Giamatti gives such a wonderful performance. Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. That title is way too long, and this is a bad movie. Yeah, this movie was just really bland, and the political story around President Snow, the younger version of Snow, rising up and becoming a powerhouse within the Capitol, I found was very poorly written. I don't think they made him to be a very engaging character, nor did they really question him morally the way that the film wanted to. And we're going to go ahead and put another bad film in the bad film category. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. The worst thing you can ever do in an Indiana Jones movie is make a boring Indiana Jones movie. That is a crime against cinema. The Iron Claw, starring Zac Efron. I thought this movie was really fantastic. I thought it was so good. Very emotionally engaging and very well acted by the leads. Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White do such a great job in this movie. This movie made me want to go to the gym and cry at the same time. Joyride, one of this year's raunchy comedy movies. I had a ton of fun with this. I was dying of laughter in the theater. I'm going to go ahead and put this in good film. This movie is just so much fun. John Wick Chapter 4. I'm a huge fan of the John Wick franchise. I love Keanu Reeves, and I've loved the majority of the John Wick movies. I'm going to go against the grain with this one. Everyone is saying John Wick Chapter 4 is the best of the franchise. I actually think it's the worst. That being said, if this is the worst of the series, then the series is pretty damn good. Gonna go ahead and put this in good film. I'm just gonna say I found the movie kind of repetitive. I think after already having 3 movies, this movie didn't do anything that really surprised me in terms of its action. So that's why I think it's the worst of the series. That being said, there is still some really good action sequences, and it's a ton of fun. I think 2 is the best because it has a good balance of story and action. 3 has the best action and the scenes that shocked me the most. 4 had a very thin story with action that felt repetitive, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that in good film. The Killer, so another assassin movie. I love David Fincher. I love the way he shoots and edits his films. I love the griminess of his movies. The Killer really didn't do anything for me. I'm going to go ahead and put that in meh. Really well shot and really well edited, but still just a kind of a boring run-of-the-mill revenge story. When I walk into a Shyamalan movie, I walk in with no expectations because I could walk away either hating it or really enjoying it. Knock at the Cabin was really good. I think this was a really well-made thriller, really well shot and really well written. Up until the end, the ending just didn't really do anything for me. But I think this was all around really great. Dave Bautista gives probably his best performance of his career. I think Dave Bautista was fantastic in this movie. Leave the World Behind, one of Netflix's films this year, produced by Barack Obama, which I think is really interesting. I didn't find this movie very interesting. I thought it was kind of boring. I liked all the performances by Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, Julia Roberts. I think they were really great. I just found this to be a very boring thriller. Maestro, the Leonard Bernstein biopic directed by Bradley Cooper. He's really going hard for that Oscar this year, and I think for most parts, like, he succeeds with this movie. The performances are great. The production and the filmmaking is really great, but it does feel like a very run-of-the-mill music biopic. I'm going to go ahead and put that in meh. I think the most interesting thing about this movie is how it tackles Leonard Bernstein's marriage and the role that plays into his ego and in his music. I just wish I had more depth to it, and I wish that was more of the main focus. Up next, we have the Super Mario Bros. Movie. This movie is really fun. The animation scenes are really well animated. The action scenes are really great. There's some really great comedy in there. There's the iconic Peaches song by Jack Black, who's playing Bowser. I've had that song on repeat all year. The story and characters are very thin, but it's kind of what you get when you're adapting a Mario movie. There's not much to the story in those games, but it's cool. It has all the callbacks that you want. May December. Yeah, May December was really great. Julianne Moore's best performance, I'd say. Yeah, I'm saying with that. Julianne Moore's best performance. Really well written, deals with some very taboo subject matter, but I think it handles it all very well. I really, really like this movie. Gonna go ahead and put that in loved it. Megan was really fun. It was way better than a January horror movie had the right to be. Had some decent thrills, some really original and iconic things in there. I dug it. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Another movie with a title that's way too long. Otherwise, I really loved it. It's Tom Cruise doing what Tom Cruise does best, risking his life, doing dangerous stunts. A lot of fun. Christopher McQuarrie directs and writes action better than most people in Hollywood nowadays. Yeah, this was great. I think the biggest flaw with this movie is just that it's not Fallout. And it's hard to be as good as Fallout was, but this one tries, and this one is pretty damn good. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. I had a ton of fun with this movie. I love the Spider-Verse inspired animation. I thought the way they characterized the Ninja Turtles was really great. How they put a priority on the teenage part of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was really great. I thought this movie was hilarious. I loved the needle drops. I loved a lot of the filmmaking and the framing of shots in this. Yeah, this movie is... I don't think Mutant Mayhem gets enough love. I think it deserves to be like within a lot of people's top 10s of the year. Napoleon, the Ridley Scott's latest epic. I love the production and I love the action sequences. Ridley Scott can always make a historical epic feel truly epic. And I wanted to love Napoleon more. I just wish that it had more depth to it and that it explored Napoleon more as a character, rather than just giving us the Wikipedia highlights of Napoleon's life. I'm hoping the 4-hour director's cut is better. That being said, I don't want to sit through a 4-hour Wikipedia article. I'm going to go ahead and put this in meh. No hard feelings. This one, no hard feelings. Jennifer Lawrence's return to acting in I think a year. I know she took a year break and then returned with this movie. I know there's a lot of people who love this one. I can't say it was for me. I think the comedy just didn't work. Comedy is very subjective, so it's going to work for some, it's not going to work for others. This one, I just didn't find it all that funny. No One Will Save You, the Hulu original, the silent alien invasion thriller movie. I think this was a really well-written and well-directed thriller. The whole no-speaking thing is a bit of a gimmick, but it's a gimmick that works. It works in favor of the movie. It was a ton of fun, really tense, and yeah, I dug this one. The Nun 2. Yeah, that movie was... This wasn't a great year for horror movies. I walked out of many of them not really enjoying it. But yeah, The Nun 2 was very bad. I haven't even seen the first Nun movie. The only reason why I saw this movie was because my family asked me to go watch it with them. And I just wanted to spend time with my family, even if it was watching a bad movie. Oppenheimer was incredible. I loved it. I loved the existential themes. I love the character study of Robert Oppenheimer himself. How Nolan explored how he was questioning himself and questioning whether or not he should be creating this nuclear bomb and the after effects of it all. And then also showing how kind of different political players tried to ruin his career, tried to put all the blame on him. It's super well acted. I hope Cillian Murphy gets the Oscar for Best Actor, and I hope RDJ wins for Best Supporting Actor. They both gave powerhouse performances. The filmmaking was great. I love the use of the IMAX camera, where it's mainly just used as for close-ups of Cillian Murphy's face. And then the actual atom drop bomb, the sequence, the Trinity test, was stunning. It's incredible that he made that with actual explosions. Rather than using CGI. I thought that was truly incredible. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in loved it. Another movie I really, really loved, Past Lives by Celine Song. This was a really remarkable movie, really incredible. I loved how it put us into these characters' lives, how it seems as if we were having the conversation with the characters, and also how it talks about like the immigrant experience and what the main character left behind when she left Korea to move to Canada and then moved to New York. So she immigrated 2 times. Yeah, this movie was stellar. It was well acted, well directed. Plane. Now, the interesting thing about 2023 is that we got 2 good January movies, which is rare. We had Megan, which was really fun, and then we had Plane, a really solid action thriller. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in good film. This was just a lot of fun in theaters, especially in a month that's typically kind of boring. Priscilla Sofia Coppola's latest film is a biopic of Priscilla Presley, the wife of Elvis. She met Elvis when she was 14 and he was 24, so it explores the child abuse aspect of that, as well as the isolation and loneliness that Priscilla felt while living with Elvis and being married to him. I thought this movie was really good. Not Sofia Coppola's best. I think the ending felt very abrupt. And I wish we got more into her Priscilla's head more and explored why she left Elvis, but otherwise the rest of the film was really good. Some really great acting and performances. Jacob Elordi as Elvis is really good. It seems effortless. And then the main actress as Priscilla, whose name I forget right now, she gives a wonderful performance. Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder's latest film. Zack Snyder's an interesting filmmaker for me. I'm always rooting for him to make something really good, although I dislike the majority of his movies. I love his visual style, and I think he does really great dumb action scenes. I just wish he would stop being so pretentious and try to be something that he's not. With Rebel Moon, he tries to make a Star Wars movie, and it's really, really, really bad. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the horrible. Rebel Moon was almost my least favorite movie of the year, but it was edged out by just one other movie that I think is really atrocious. Rebel Moon is just boring. It's a movie where he tries to adapt Seven Samurai within the Star Wars universe, except it's not actually Star Wars. But you can just tell it's a carbon copy of everything that Zack Snyder enjoys, in the most boring way possible. He introduces all these different characters who are going to go to this planet and defend these people against the Empire, but they're just the most boring and bland characters. They do one cool thing, maybe if you're lucky, and then they just go on the spaceship and fly off. And they get no depth. They don't interact with any of the other characters in any interesting or meaningful ways. Yeah, this movie is so bad. There's supposed to be a 4-hour cut. I don't know if I want to watch 4 hours of this. I probably will, out of curiosity, but I don't want to. And then we're going to get part 2 in June. Hopefully part 2 is a lot more interesting and fun. Renfield, starring Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult, about Renfield's abusive relationship with Dracula. This movie was fine. I remember it being pretty fun in the theaters. It doesn't leave you with much to remember afterwards. I'm just going to go ahead and put this in good film. Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I really liked the first Shazam movie. I think it had a lot of heart, and it was a ton of fun, really creative with its character and with the idea of like a kid becoming a superhero. Fear of the Gods was a big disappointment. I still had fun with it. I think it made me laugh and had some decent action scenes, so I walked away giving it a positive review. But yeah, it just lacked a lot of the heart the first one had. It seems like all the good work that they did to build up this family, they kind of just threw out the window for the sequel. Still going to put it in good film, just because I laughed at a couple scenes and the action was pretty decent. Sisu. Yeah, this movie is a ton of fun, and it's a movie about killing Nazis. What's not to like? Talk to Me. This was the best horror film of the year. Just really creative, and I really enjoyed the whole premise of it. I loved how it was an allegory for like peer pressure and also drug abuse. And this had some gruesome things that I haven't seen ever in a movie. This made me squirm. It's hard to make me squirm in a horror movie. I'm usually pretty immune to this stuff, but Talk to Me made me squirm in some scenes. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in loved it. Theater Camp, this is getting a lot of love from people. I can see why. It's a really sweet and endearing movie. I didn't completely love it as much as others did. I'm going to go ahead and put it in good film. It made me laugh. It was a funny movie. I just didn't get as emotionally connected to it as other people have. Totally Killer. This movie completely flew under my radar, but I heard a review about it, and I had a night where I was just wanting to put anything on. And so I heard good things, and I kind of really disliked this movie. Totally Killer. I didn't find it funny at all. It wasn't a very good comedy. And then the whole central mystery around it, around who the serial killer is, I think falls flat. And I feel like a lot of character arcs aren't very well fleshed out. Transformers: Rise of the Beast. I'm failing to remember anything about this movie. It's a Transformers movie without Michael Bay. So, I mean, it's still bad, but it lacks any sauce or any flair to it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in bad film. Let's actually put that right before Hunger Games, I'll say. They Clone Tyrone, really solid. The central cast with John Boyega, Jamie Foxx, and Teyonah Parris, they give really great performances. I think the cinematography is really well, and I like its themes of gentrification and experimentation on minority communities. I'm going to go ahead and put this in good film. Right there above Evil Dead. One Evil Lurks. This one flew under my radar as well. And I went into this knowing nothing, and I really enjoyed it. And I think that's the best way to go into One Evil Lurks. It's a movie that takes common horror tropes and adds something really new to it, something that I haven't really seen before. And I think it's really brilliant for that. It is gory and shocking and really, really, really disturbing. I'm going to go ahead and put this in good film. I really enjoyed this. Okay, Bottoms. This is another movie that a lot of people love. I see it in a lot of people's best of the year list. I wish I liked this movie more. I just didn't find it funny. I didn't find its brand of improv comedy very funny. But I know, once again, like with Hard Feelings, that's going to be very subjective to who you are and what you find funny. It's hard for me to laugh at improv, and this was very improv humor. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in meh. Okay, we are down to our two final movies. So now we got to put something in best of the year and worst of the year. First off, let's start with worst of the year because I want to end this on a good note. I don't want to end this video ranting and complaining about something that was really terrible. So I'm going to go ahead and put The Flash in worst of the year. Rebel Moon was almost in this category, but when I thought about it, The Flash is just a way worse movie than Rebel Moon. I hated The Flash. The Flash was an abysmal movie to watch. I think it was, first of all, it's probably the ugliest blockbuster I've seen in a very long time. Everything about this movie just feels super unpolished. All of the CGI looks wonky, especially the Flash in his suit. For some reason, I couldn't figure out why his head didn't look right. And then I saw a video breaking down the CGI of the Flash, and then I saw like the entire costume was CGI'd except for his head. And man, his head looks way too big in that suit. That bugged me while watching the entire movie. And then, you know, you bring in all these cameos. You got Michael Keaton's Batman, who really doesn't do much. He does like he's just there just for the sake of a cameo, and to give people like nostalgia flashbacks. Supergirl's there. It's like an alternate universe where Henry Cavill's Superman never made his Earth, and instead we get Supergirl. And I think the actress who played Supergirl was really good. Her character just gets nothing to do within the movie. And then you get to the end with all the cameos of like the previous Superman or Superman of a different universe and different Batman, all using this ugly, ugly CGI to bring them back to life, and it just looked horrible. Completely took me out of the movie. And the movie tries to have like a heart or something endearing to it with the story of Barry Allen going back in the past to change his mom's death, something that we've seen in like Flashpoint the comic or the Flash show. It's there. It tries. It doesn't fully work for me because as soon as we get to these moments of Barry Allen dealing with his mother and his mother's death, it immediately just pulls you away to look at the cameos and the different Superman and Batman. And then you have the double Barry Allen dynamic, which I found so annoying. The alternate universe Barry Allen was so annoying. I couldn't stand him, and I hated his laugh. Man, this movie was just utterly terrible. And I can't believe the DCEU is ending on a film like this. It's not the last. The last one is Aquaman, which I haven't seen. But man, just what a terrible way to end this franchise. Okay, I'm done ranting. I never have to think about or watch The Flash ever again. So let's go ahead and talk about my favorite movie of the year. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I'm not a Godzilla fan. I have seen the original Godzilla and I love it. I've seen the MonsterVerse movies that have come out within the past 10 years, and I range from liking them to really hating them. But Godzilla Minus One, the latest Godzilla movie from Japan, from Toho Studios, is my favorite movie of the year. This movie is stellar, and I can't believe I almost skipped out on this one. I was gonna skip out on it. I thought this was just for hardcore Godzilla fans, but I heard so many great reviews that I just had to go out and watch it. And this turned out to be my favorite movie of the year. This movie is stellar. It's an amazing blockbuster experience. You have some incredible action sequences. The first scene of Godzilla is like Jurassic Park. There's a scene that's reminiscent of Jaws. And then when you get to the end, it's like the trench run in Star Wars or the finale in Top Gun Maverick. Just amazing spectacle within the movie. I also loved its themes about post-war Japan. You know, the other your typical themes about the PTSD that the Japanese people felt after the dropping of the atomic bomb, and that's definitely prevalent within the movie. But I think this movie adds a lot of depth in the fact that it also deals with kind of a distrust of the Japanese government after they lost the Second World War, and also how the main character goes through an arc of realizing that his life does have meaning, it does have worth. In the film, the main character was a kamikaze pilot. In World War II, he was supposed to be a suicide bomber, and he deserted. He ran away because he didn't want to die in war, which nobody wants to die in war. And the whole film is about him recognizing that like his life has meaning, his life has worth, and he doesn't have to die for his country. And even throughout the whole film, like as the citizens are fighting Godzilla, they're like, we just went through a war where so many people died. For once, let's value life. And I think that's such a beautiful message. And yeah, this movie is absolutely incredible. I didn't think it would be my favorite movie of the year when I went into theaters, and then I walked out absolutely loving it. And here we have it. These are all 58 movies that I've seen in the year 2023, ranked from best of the year all the way to worst of the year. So here's what I want you to do. Down in the comments below, tell me what your favorite movie of the year was, tell me what your least favorite movie of the year was, and tell me what you're most looking forward to in 2024. I really appreciate you for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe, share it with someone that you love, and until next time, I'll see you guys at the movies.